Mason Marchment returned to the lineup just in time for a huge game against the Dallas Stars tonight. He has to be the key to unlocking Adam Fantilli. We'll talk about why that is in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. I just want to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. Lots to talk about today. I want to talk a little bit about the game against the Senators, but not a lot, because frankly, I think I'll probably devote as much time to it as effort they put into it. But there's a couple of things that I want to touch on. And I want to talk about Mason Marchment returning to the lineup, which is, frankly, the most exciting news of today. And I also want to preview the Dallas Stars. So that's what we're going to talk about. The game against the Ottawa Senators sucked. It was the first, stinker that the team has had since Bonus came on board. And that's what the team is 3-1 under him now. I think there's been a lot of hand-wringing and doom and gloom about how this is the same old Blue Jackets, etc., etc. And I'm not super willing to buy that just yet. I think you look at the effort in the first 3 games that they gave Bonus. It could have just been the new coach bump, but frankly, I'd expect that to last longer than 3 games. Sometimes the team just has a bad game. And I talked about this on Twitter, right? You can't win them all. Would have been nice to win that one. I don't think they deserve to win that one, but it would have been nice if the team had showed up, right? 4 wins in a row. You lose ground in the playoff race on account of the fact that the Penguins have, I think, won twice since losing to the Blue Jackets. They've won at least once. So that gap between the Blue Jackets and the playoffs is now, they are 7 points away from the wild card and 8 points away from the 3rd seed. What also hasn't helped is that the New Jersey Devils have won 2 games in a row since then as well. So, they lost ground on basically every Metro team. The only good news is that the New York Rangers have lost 2 games in a row as well, so they stay behind the Blue Jackets. But Blue Jackets could have jumped the Senators, could have equalized with the Florida Panthers, and slowly started to increase on the rest of the Metropolitan Division. They didn't. Sucks. I'm not going to sit here and say moral victories or whatever. But I do think that one bad game is allowed. If they respond tonight with another bad effort, then we'll start having conversations about maybe it. I don't think it is the team. Everson was a problem, right? That doesn't mean he was the only problem, but I'm not going to sit here and say that they should have just kept Everson, because clearly it's the players that are the problem, right? Everson was a problem. But depending on how tonight goes, we might have to have that conversation about, well, are the players more at fault than we originally thought, right? Because that was one of the things that, and I've kind of been talking about this since they hired Bonus, right? Is that we've been seeing a lot more of a full game effort, right? The first 2 games, they played the full 60 minutes both times. They played 40-ish minutes against the Penguins, which is not great, but they had a bad first period and then picked it up as opposed to falling apart in the 3rd period, right? They were just awful from start to finish against the Senators. The Senators, I don't think, played particularly, outstandingly well, right? They got the goaltending that they needed from James Reimer, which is frustrating in its own right, because the dude has played 2 professional games before then and still managed to put up a .950 save percentage on the Blue Jackets, right? That's a problem. But I don't think the Senators, they played well, sure, but I think it was very much a case of the Blue Jackets just didn't bother showing up than the Senators playing well, right? Very little creation from basically anyone. I don't think it helped that Elvis clearly, and Here's the thing about choosing Elvis to start this game is I wouldn't have done it. I don't think they should have done it. We have to move past this idea that just because a player wants to play means that they should play, right? And we see this a lot of, oh, he's battling through an injury. He's a warrior. We've seen it all season with Sean Monahan, right? At a certain point, you have to put your foot down and say, no, we're going to play someone who is healthy. And obviously, there's different conversations to be had with Monahan and Mosley kids, but they knew he was sick at morning skate. They let him come in and be around the team, despite the fact that it's, it is peak season for everyone to get super sick. They knew he was sick at morning skate, right? That to me is the time where you say, no, go home. If you if you're well enough to back up, you're well enough to back up. But you've got a perfectly healthy goalie that hasn't played in like a week and a half in Jet Greaves. Just because Elvis wants to play doesn't mean that he should play. Right. And I'm not going to put the loss on Elvis because I think, again, like putting Jet in net for the whole game would not have changed the way that this game goes. Right. I didn't have a problem with the first goal Elvis allowed. Great screen from Dmitry Voronkov. Would love if he did that on the other end of the ice sometime. Sorry to one of my everydayers, Stanley, for the Voronkov slander, but like, man, frustrating, right? Second goal should have had. Like, that's not a great goal to allow. And then I think Jet Greaves came in and ended up making like 12 saves or something like that. 12 of 13 saves. I didn't pull up the numbers because I didn't think I was going to need them. And that was clearly stupid of me. So 1 goal on 16 shots for Jet. 2 goals on 5. Sorry. I'm looking at the wrong thing. 2 goals on 7 for Elvis, 1 goal on 14 for Jet. So again, I don't know that putting Jet in would have made a difference in terms of the final score, but maybe if this game is, 1-0 coming out of the first period or 1-1, then we'd see a different game. But on the flip side, the Blue Jackets didn't create much at all. Reimer was good, but the high danger chances just weren't there for me. I think they created about 2 expected goals worth of offense. But of their 50 shot attempts, all situations, 12 of them were high danger. And on the flip side, on 5-on-5 or, even strength, the Blue Jackets had 39 shot attempts. And only a quarter of those were high danger. So, you need to, you got to create more, right? They were awful. They were just bad. Low energy. They looked slow. They had a bad first period, and they kind of picked it up a little bit in terms of energy, but not in terms of playing well. So I'm not surprised they lost. Just makes their job all the harder now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're going to talk about tonight's game in a little bit, but I want to talk about a couple of lineup changes in just a second here. So we'll do that next here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I've got to tell you about game time, because there's nothing like being near the ice during hockey season. The speed, the hits, the atmosphere, there's nothing like it, right? Watching at home is great, but being in the building is a completely different experience. The only thing that used to get in the way was actually getting tickets, right? Long queues, endless screens, prices changing at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to the fans. It is the hack for unlocking amazing NHL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I use it all the time when I'm in the States. I use it here in the UK as well, but less, just because there's less hockey here. But when I'm in the States, I am always checking out Game Time to see, there's a game tomorrow night. What's the best price that you can give me? There's no surprise fees at checkout as well. It's easy to use. It takes me about 2 minutes to buy tickets for me and my wife. So I love that, because it means that we can really just impulse. Oh, we both finished work. Cool. Let's buy tickets for the game that starts in 45 minutes and head downtown. So we love to do that. And we can do that on Game Time Guarantee. It's great. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day every single day. Thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. And if you haven't already, go check out the new Everydayers Club. You get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Blue Jackets. So if you've got that ad fatigue that I think a lot of people do, for just $5 a month or $50 a year, you can get ad-free episodes of this podcast. And you get that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, every other major podcasting app. And we also have a exclusive Discord server, which is like a big fun group chat just for listeners of this show. Go to lockedonbluejackets.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Let's talk about Mason Marchment, who is back. He has been out for many games. I don't think it's actually been that many games. He's missed, I want to say, like 8 games or so. It was the Penguins game at the beginning of the month that I think he got hurt in. So he played January 4th. So it's only been about 2.5 weeks, but it feels like it's been a long time. And I think that the team is really excited to have him back for a bunch of reasons, not only because he had 5 goals in the 7 games that he played for us before getting injured, plus 2 assists as well. So that's 9 points if I'm doing the math right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My math was super off, but that's fine. 7 points in 7 games since being traded from Seattle. Really worked well with Fantilli and Marchenko, and it was a huge energy guy as well, right? And that's, I think, something that's really going to reflect well with Rick Bowness, who has talked over and over and over. He wants energy, he wants bite, he wants the slow starts to crawl in a hole, right? And I think Marchment gives you that kind of energy boost. I also think he makes the lineup deeper, which is something that I've kind of talked about a little bit in terms of the defense, but haven't really talked about much in terms of the offense. But Cole Sillinger on the first line just wasn't it, right? And I talked a little bit about, well, maybe they should flip Sillinger and Voronkov, right? Put Voronkov back on that line that we know he works well on with Fantilli and Marchenko. Move Sillinger back down to that line with Coyle and Olivier, which we also know works well. But it seems like Marchment is coming back on that top line with Fantilli and Marchenko, which I'm absolutely fine with. Keep the second line together, which has been good for the past, 4 or 5 games. Last game notwithstanding, although they did get the only goal of the game. So, I've liked that second line a lot. And then my guess is that that'll put Sillinger back on the third line. And they've also activated Isaac Lundestrom from IR as well. So the team's fourth line center, penalty killer, etc. returns. So my guess is that the fourth line is going to be Voronkov, Lundestrom, Heinen. These are just small changes, right? But this is a good sign. I think the team is now much deeper because Sillinger is a very good third liner, right? You've got Voronkov on the fourth line, which I still don't love. So we're gonna continue to monitor that and see what's happening there. I do not think this is a Chinikov situation. I've seen many people, including someone who blocked me and then I think unblocked me on Twitter just to yell at me about Voronkov, which sure, whatever makes you happy, my guy. But there's a lot of moving parts. Obviously things can change fast. They're not giving up on Voronkov, right? It's been 2 games of him on the fourth line. He's not getting healthy scratched for this game. Yes, he's going to be on the fourth line. Yet they know what they want to see more from him. I still don't agree that if you want more offense from a player, then drop him in the lineup. But with Marchment returning, it's going to be interesting to see where he fits into the top 9 or even the top 6, right? I personally might have him on that third line and move Olivier down to the fourth line. But again, I know that they like that third line. So I don't know. Who knows? Miles Wood is skating by himself, or skating with. I think he skated with Matejchuk yesterday. So he's on the way back, but not ready to be back yet, which is good news. And again, once he comes back, presumably that pushes Denton Heinen out of the lineup, and suddenly you've got a very serviceable, a fourth line. While it's not ideal that Voronkov is on the fourth line, a fourth line of Voronkov, Lundestrom, and Wood, I think gives you a little bit of everything. That might be a sneaky good fourth line. And it might give Voronkov the opportunities to start creating a little bit more offense, which is what they want from him, right? In terms of the defense, in terms of getting healthy, it sounds like Denton Matejchuk is physically healthy, but has the flu, which I assume is, I assume it's going around. It is, again, that time of the year. But they put him on IR to make a lineup spot for Mason Marchment, which makes sense. My guess is that when he's ready to go, one of Gaunt or Heinen will go on waivers, probably Gaunt, to open up a roster spot. But it sounds like he's fixed the was it upper body for Matejchuk? It sounds like the upper body has been resolved, and they're just waiting for him to get over the flu. I suspect we might see him back in Saturday's game. I think it is. I think the next game is Saturday against Tampa Bay. So that's great news because I miss him, and the defense looks real thin at the minute. Like the defense wasn't the reason that they lost on Tuesday, but it sure did not help, right? So getting Matejchuk back is kind of a necessity for this team to find success going forward. I'll be interested to see again how he slots in. My hope is that he goes right back onto that top line with Werenski because that pairing is great. But we'll see what Bonus thinks going forward. Dante Fabro also should be back soon. It sounds like word on the street. I don't know if this has been confirmed by anyone anywhere, but got a skate cut to his leg in the game against, I think, was it Pittsburgh? Yeah, it must have been Pittsburgh. That he left like halfway through the period in. Which is obviously not great and could be a sign of, things being much worse. Like, look at Fantilli got cut with a skate in his rookie season and missed like the last 30 games or something with it. It sounds like they've avoided the worst case with Fabro. So my guess is that he got stitched up. They're waiting for the stitches to come out before they put him back into gross hockey gear and make him sweat everywhere, because that's how you get an infection. So that's my guess, is that Fabro is going to be back hopefully next week sometime. But yeah, that word on the street is that's the lower body injury. Is he got cut with a skate, which is scary, but not the end of the world, which is good news. Again, bringing Fabro back is great news for the defensive depth. I've really liked him since Bonus has come in, and obviously he was playing on that top line out of necessity, but we know that Werenski and Fabro is a good pairing, right? So really, it's going to be a competition between who can get that spot solidified next to Zach Werenski out of Fabro and Matejchuk, in my opinion, and then presumably that will push Zamula and Christensen out of the lineup, is my guess, which is a shame because I like Zamula, but my guess is that when Fabro and Matejchuk are healthy, then that's your top six defensemen, right? Like Werenski, Fabro, Matejchuk, Provorov, Severson, Gabranson, for a given value of, however long Gabranson is going to be in the lineup this time. Hopefully he's back for good, because I have liked his game the past couple of days. I think he's been good on the penalty kill, especially. He's never going to be the fastest guy in the world, and it was kind of a like I said, like I thought it was going to be. It was kind of a disaster with him on that second pairing with Provorov, but when Matejchuk comes back, the lines will get a little bit. They'll get deeper. Guys can go down in the lineup, etc., etc. So, hooray in advance. All that being said, Dallas Stars tonight. Blue Jackets have beaten them already this season in Dallas. Can they do it again tonight? Let's talk about that and what they have to do in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's talk about the Dallas Stars, who are kind of going through it at the minute. They have been a really, really good team for a lot of the season, right? Like, they're a good team. They were trying really hard to keep pace with the Avalanche for a while, and it wasn't super not working. They have fallen off. Like Colorado has come back down to earth a little bit. They're 5-3-2 in their last 10 instead of, just winning every single game. And the Dallas Stars have got 65 points, which is 12 behind the Avalanche, but still would be good to be above every team in the East except Tampa, Detroit, and Carolina, who all have 66 points. So Dallas, yeah, they're floundering a little bit at the minute. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10 games, which is not great, but they're not a bad team, right? They're just kind of going through a rough patch at the minute. This is what teams do. This is how the NHL works, right? There are ups and downs. They got a win in Boston with their most recent game, but previous to that, they'd lost 3 in a row to Tampa Bay, Utah, and Anaheim. They got a win against LA, an overtime loss to the Sharks, a win against the Capitals, and then losses to Carolina, Montreal, and Chicago as well. So lots of L's in their last 10 games. Like I said, they've got 3 wins in those 10 games. But they're still a very, very good and very dangerous team, right? Like they're 7th in the league in goals for per game, 5th in goals against per game. They've got 2 solid goaltenders in Jake Oettinger and Casey DeSmith. Suspect the Blue Jackets will be seeing Jake Oettinger tonight as the starting goalie. I guess just check in Money Park. Casey DeSmith is going to be starting for the Dallas Stars tonight. He's got a .911 save percentage on the year, is 10-3-5, and has been performing better than Jake Oettinger. Plus, the Blue Jackets are not the biggest threat in the world to them right now. Cross-conference opponent at the bottom of the standings. It makes sense that they'd throw their backup out for this. Blue Jackets are going to be going with Jet Greaves, who's been very good this year. Was, like I said earlier, was good in relief against the Ottawa Senators, where I say 1 goal on 14 shots, which is not a lot of shots to face, and obviously is you'd want if a goalie is making 13 of 14 saves or 14 of 15 saves, 13 of 14 saves, then you'd want that to be a winning game, right? But unfortunately, the Blue Jackets forgot how to score. So again, that game not on the goaltending. But it's going to be Greaves versus DeSmith. I believe the last time these teams faced off against each other, it was actually Elvis versus Oettinger. And Elvis, that was one of Elvis's better games of the season. Blue Jackets won, I think, 5-1 or 5-2. Yeah, 5-1. And was, again, a really, really good team effort. Can they do it again tonight? Well, the Blue Jackets are not as... I don't want to say that they're not as good of a team as they were that night, because there's been a lot of roster changes since then, right? Like there's been a lot of a lot of roster turnover. In fact, let me look at who was on that roster that is not going to be playing tonight, and vice versa. But it was a big... It was 5 different goal scorers for the Blue Jackets from a bunch of different lines. Like it was, again, a really solid team effort. And actually looks like it's going to be most of the same guys. No Chinikov, obviously no Werenz, no Matejchuk, no Fabro, and it's going to be Jet Greaves in net. But the Blue Jackets will have basically everyone else. That was a really great night for Adam Fantilli, actually. So if Adam Fantilli wanted to have another great night against the Dallas Stars, I would be more than okay with that. Again, we're getting to the point where every game is important. You won 3 games in a row, 4 games in a row, and only gained 3 standings points worth of increase on. Or not increase, but you only cut 3 points of the deficit from teams above you or from the wildcard teams, right? Before that winning streak, they were 9 points out of a playoff spot. They won 4 games in a row, were only 3 games out of a playoff spot. There were 6 points out of a playoff spot after that, excuse me. So they went from 9 points to 6 points out, and now they are, I believe, 7 points out. I don't remember what I said earlier in the episode, 6 or 7 points out of a playoff spot. So again, they won 4 of their last 5 games and gained not a lot of ground. So in the grand scheme of things, this game doesn't matter. It is a out-of-conference game against the Dallas Stars. A win would be nice, but it's not the end of the world, except they need these 2 points. They didn't get 2 points from Ottawa, so they need 2 points tonight. And it's only going to get more difficult from here as well, because next they have to play Tampa Bay, who the Blue Jackets were lucky enough to face early in the season before they figured stuff out. And since then, I believe when they played Tampa, the Tampa Bay Lightning were 2nd or 3rd from the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Now they are very much near the top of it and looking like the Tampa Bay Lightning again, right? So the games are not going to get any easier from here. This is going to be a game that it would be great to get 2 points from. In terms of guys to watch for the Dallas Stars, obviously it's Jason Robertson, who seems to have been taking it personally that didn't get named to Team USA. He's got 3 goals in his last 5 games, he's got 3 goals and 4 points in his last 5 games. Rupe Hintz has got 3 assists in his last 5 games. And they also have Mikko Rantanen, who has 63 points in 48 games so far this season. Like those are the guys you got to watch out for, right? Is Rantanen, Robertson, and Wyatt Johnson. Those are your guys. They've also got John Klingberg. That was a real Freudian slip. Miro Heiskanen on the back end, who's their number 1 guy, one of the arguably a top 5 defenseman in this league. I think people could make a case that he's a top 3 defenseman in this league, depending on how you evaluate defensemen. But he's got 39 points in 48 games, plays almost as much as Zach Werenski. But like this is not going to be a team that just because they're struggling at the minute is going to be a pushover, right? This is a good team with a lot of good players. Another lethal power play for the Blue Jackets to face. They're second in the league right now. Now the penalty kill was great against Pittsburgh, and I think fine against the Ottawa Senators, who do not have a great power play. Like, it's fine, but it's not like lethally good, right? This is again another one of those lethal power plays. In 5.5-ish minutes of penalty kill time, they had 8 shot attempts, 5 shots, and didn't score. So again, kind of, it wasn't as power killy as the excuse me. I looked at the wrong number. Let me rewind that. In 4 minutes of penalty kill time, they allowed 13 shot attempts and 6 shots on goal. So not great. They also had 3 shot attempts of their own, plus 1 shot on goal, which I believe was the Cole Sillinger shorthanded chance, which was, man, I wish Cole Sillinger had hands, right? I thought he had a really good game if he could bury the puck, but he could not, which is kind of true for many guys. So not a great night on the penalty kill. They didn't allow a goal, which is great news, but not the most like clinical penalty kill. Like, we saw a really efficient clinical penalty kill against Pittsburgh, and it got kind of sloppy against Ottawa, which makes sense because the entire game was sloppy, right? But they're going to have to be much better than that if they don't want Dallas to make them look silly, which may or may not happen tonight. In terms of predictions, because it's about that time of the episode, I'm going to continue to side bully Adam Fantilli because the goal predictions will continue until morale improves. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that because I need a win. It's been a minute. I need a win, and I should probably stop just predicting the same guy over and over and over. You know who loves to play against the Dallas Stars is Kromachenko. Also might be worth a shout is Mason Marchment playing against his old team. Obviously, he was a Dallas Star for a few years before he was a Kraken, and they loved him there. So a revenge game from Mason Marchment would be great, especially on his return. But I think I'm going to go Kromachenko because Kromachenko loves to score against the Dallas Stars. I think he has like 6 goals in 8 games against them or something like that. Like he loves to score against the score against the Stars. So I'm going to say a Marchenko goal, and I think this is probably going to be a pretty low scoring affair. Hopefully, it might get dicey, but let's say a 3-2 Blue Jackets win in overtime because I hate myself with a Marchenko goal. That's my guess. That's my guess. Get your predictions in the YouTube comments down below, or there's going to be a tweet going up at LO_Blue Jackets very shortly, so you can put your predictions in there as well. Thank you for listening to this episode, making it your number 1 listen of the day, or first listen of the day, or your number 1 listen. It's either your first listen or your best listen. I hope it's one of them. But thank you for listening. for coming to enjoy this episode. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll break down tonight's game, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know the drill. Hopefully more of the first than the second two. If you want ad-free episodes of this very show, go to lockedonbluejackets.supercast.com and join the Everydayers Club. I'm Ben J. Foster. You can find me on Blue Sky at JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Bluejackets on Twitter. Like I said, we're also on Blue Sky at LO-Bluejackets. Thank you once again for listening. And until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.